You folks need to leave right now.
Officer, we're just eating lunch. We just ordered. What do we do?
I've had complaints you're causing a disturbance. You need to vacate the premises.
A disturbance? We're sitting here with our kids. Who complained?
That's not your concern. Leave voluntarily or this becomes an arrest situation.
Officer Keith Morrison believed he was handling a real complaint. Working patrol for the Lakewood Police Department, he treated disturbance reports seriously, particularly in family restaurants where owners wanted to keep things, as he put it, up to standard. A call came in from Betty's Diner about a rowdy family around 12:30 in the afternoon on a bright Sunday. He showed up in minutes. But stepping into that diner and spotting a black family of 4 quietly eating in their booth, every racist assumption he'd nurtured through 14 years on the force kicked in. They didn't match what he pictured as Betty's typical crowd. Someone felt uncomfortable enough about them being there to phone the cops. In Morrison's warped view, that made them fair game for removal. What escaped his mind, what vanished completely as he rushed to back up bigotry, was his body camera rolling the whole time. Every statement, every movement, every instance of racial targeting recorded in high definition with perfectly clear sound from his own gear. The equipment designed to shield officers from bogus accusations would end up destroying his career and costing the city $1.8 million. Before I go on, let me ask, where are you tuning in from? First time here? Go ahead and hit subscribe. These stories deserve to be heard, and when you support us, we can keep shining light on the truth. Keith Morrison had put in 14 years with the Lakewood Police Department, earning what his bosses described as a strong track record in community policing. Hidden beneath that image sat 23 complaints spanning 12 years from citizens claiming he discriminated and harassed minorities in public locations. Internal Affairs had examined every single complaint and written them off as confusion or miscommunication. Morrison figured out that claiming he was just following up on business owner concerns or citizen reports meant his department would back him up. Lakewood PD had rolled out mandatory body cameras 3 years back following a string of misconduct claims. Officers had to switch on their cameras for every interaction with the public, every service call, every enforcement stop. The rules were straightforward. Not activating your camera could get you disciplined. Reality played out differently, though. Sometimes officers claimed they forgot to turn them on, or said the equipment broke at just the wrong moment. Morrison himself had skipped activating his camera at least 12 times on record over those 3 years, always during encounters that ended up generating complaints. But this Sunday afternoon, maybe from routine or maybe from cocky certainty that his actions were justified, Morrison flipped on his body camera as he stepped out of his cruiser. That choice would wreck everything for him. Dr. Marcus Henderson, 41 years old, worked as a pediatric surgeon at Children's Memorial Hospital. His wife, Angela Henderson, 39, practiced corporate law at one of the city's top firms. Their home sat in Lakewood's affluent Westridge section, and they were bringing up their kids, Tyler, 9, and Maya, 7, with strong values around education and self-respect. They'd achieved professional success, yet being black meant dealing with discrimination regularly. That Sunday afternoon kicked off perfectly. The Henderson family went to church, then chose Betty's Diner for lunch, a neighborhood favorite famous for classic comfort meals. They'd eaten there twice previously without any trouble. Arriving at 12:15, they found the diner moderately full with the post-church rush. A booth by the window opened up for them. They ordered beverages and food, then chatted quietly while Tyler and Maya colored their kids' menus. Everything seemed normal until a white couple seated nearby started staring them down. "Doctor!" Henderson caught it, but kept his attention on his family. The staring went on, now with hushed remarks added in. Then that white couple stood up, approached the counter, and talked with someone who looked like management. 5 minutes passed before Officer Morrison pushed through the entrance, body camera switched on and filming from chest height, recording everything as he scoped out the restaurant. Morrison's camera would later reveal precisely what he witnessed walking in, a calm dining space filled with families enjoying meals, soft conversations floating around, kids laughing. The camera swept across the room as Morrison surveyed his surroundings. When it settled on the Henderson family, the only black patrons in the place, Morrison headed straight for them. The footage caught his approach, his hand settling on his belt, his stance turning aggressive. "You need to get out of here immediately," Morrison declared loudly enough for tables around them to catch it. The camera documented the Henderson family's response, from Morrison's viewpoint, confusion washing over their faces as they looked up at him, shock and fear flickering across their features. Dr. Henderson lowered his fork, hands shaking a bit. "Sir, we're having our meal. We literally just placed our order. What's going on?" The camera's mic picked up the trembling in Dr. Henderson's tone, recorded his hand moving instinctively toward his son's shoulder, a protective motion clearly visible in frame. "I got reports that you're making trouble," Morrison stated. The camera captured his threatening tone, how he loomed over them. "Time to go." Angela Henderson's voice wavered, her legal background failing her in that moment of disbelief. "Disruptive, officer? We're here with our children. We're simply eating." "Who said something? What exactly did they claim we were doing?" The camera showed Angela quickly wiping her eyes, fighting to stay composed for her kids. It recorded the fear coloring her words, the confusion plastered on her face. "That doesn't matter to you," Morrison said dismissively. "Either walk out now or you're getting arrested." Dr. Henderson's voice cracked slightly. "But we already paid for our meals. We haven't. I can't understand what we supposedly did. Could you please just explain what someone told you we did?" The camera caught Tyler glancing up at his dad, the 9-year-old's expression shifting from puzzlement to terror. The audio grabbed Maya, starting to cry softly. "Sir, I'm not asking twice," Morrison said, his tone growing harder. The microphone captured every nuance, the barely hidden threat. "You and your family are leaving this place right now, or I'm arresting you for trespassing." Angela pulled her daughter closer, tears welling in her own eyes. The camera recorded every bit of it from Morrison's angle, a family being humiliated for daring to eat lunch, all captured by the officer's own device. Before Dr. Henderson could say anything back, a voice sliced through the tension from somewhere off camera. "Officer Morrison, what in the hell is happening here?" The camera swung as Morrison turned, capturing Bill Thompson, Betty's Diner's actual owner, coming out of the kitchen. Thompson, a white man in his late 60s who'd run Betty's for 30 years, looked between Morrison and the Henderson family with alarm spreading across his face. "Mr. Thompson," Morrison said, still confident. The camera view steadied as he faced the owner. "Someone called about a disturbance. I'm taking care of it." "A disturbance?" Thompson moved in closer, now centered in the body camera shot. "Says who? I've been back in the kitchen. Nobody mentioned any disturbance to me." Morrison's hand waved vaguely, the gesture caught on his own camera. "One of your patrons phoned it in. These people have to leave." The camera recorded Thompson walking past Morrison toward the booth, the frame tracking his movement. "Dr. Henderson, Mrs. Henderson, are you folks causing any trouble?" "No, sir, doctor," Henderson answered, his voice more steady now. The camera caught his face as Morrison observed the conversation. "We've been sitting right here, eating with our kids. We haven't disturbed anybody. Should police officers who kick customers out of businesses without real justification face federal charges? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This wasn't simply harassment. This was an officer weaponizing his badge to enforce racism, and his own camera was documenting every second. Thompson's voice climbed, now easily heard on Morrison's body camera. "Then there's no problem, and they're staying put. They paid for their food like any other customer." The camera showed Morrison's hands tensing, visible at the bottom of frame. "Mr. Thompson," someone called in a complaint. "From who?" Thompson pushed, now directly facing Morrison, centered in the camera's view. "Show me." Morrison's camera angle shifted as he pointed toward an empty booth. "They were customers who they already left." Thompson cut him off. The camera revealed his posture changing, becoming protective as he positioned himself between Morrison and the Henderson family. "And even if they were still here, I don't kick out paying customers just because somebody's uncomfortable seeing them. This is my establishment, and everybody's welcome long as they show respect and pay their bill." The Hendersons checked both boxes. The body camera's microphone captured the diner falling silent. The footage showed several patrons in the background pulling out phones, though they had no clue about the professional recording happening from Morrison's own chest. Morrison stepped toward Thompson, the camera documenting the intimidation attempt as Thompson's face filled more of the shot. "Sir, if you're not going to support police efforts to keep order in your business, Order. Thompson's voice rose. The camera's mic caught every syllable crystal clear. You're trying to throw out a family that hasn't done a thing wrong. That's straight-up discrimination. The camera caught Morrison's jaw tightening, visible as he glanced downward briefly. Mr. Thompson, I'm suggesting you think this through. The police department enjoys a solid relationship with your establishment. You wouldn't want that changing. The threat rang unmistakable in the recording. The camera captured Thompson's expression shifting recognition dawning of what Morrison had just implied. Officer Morrison. Angela's voice came from off-camera, and Morrison's body camera pivoted to her as she raised her phone. I'm Angela Henderson. I practice law. I'm recording this interaction. You just threatened a business owner for refusing to discriminate against us. We haven't violated any laws. If you place us under arrest, there will be consequences. Morrison's own camera now recorded Angela holding up her phone, capturing the irony of two recordings happening simultaneously from different perspectives. Ma'am, lower that phone or I'm taking it, Morrison said, his voice captured by his own mic. On what grounds? Angela challenged, visible in Morrison's camera frame, hands trembling but phone held steady. Recording police is perfectly legal. You're aware of that. Thompson stepped back into view, placing himself between Morrison's camera and the family. Officer, I'm informing you as the owner, these customers are welcome in my diner. They've done absolutely nothing wrong. I'm requesting that you exit my establishment. The camera recorded Morrison standing there, captured that beat of silence as he processed the situation developing around him. You're making a mistake. You'll both regret this choice. The camera documented his pivot, his walk toward the exit, the view bobbing slightly with each stride. It caught the relieved murmurs and scattered clapping from other patrons as he departed. What Morrison failed to grasp as he walked out was that his body camera had documented everything. Every discriminatory statement, every threatening move, every moment of that family's terror. The very tool designed to protect him would become the star evidence of his wrongdoing. Morrison got back to his patrol vehicle and, following standard operating procedure, uploaded his body camera footage to the department's secure server when his shift ended. He filed a report stating he'd answered a legitimate disturbance call and the family had voluntarily departed after he'd relayed the complaint. The report left out the business owner contradicting him, left out his threats, left out that the family had been completely peaceful. It was fiction crafted to justify what he'd done. But that body camera footage told the real story. When the Henderson family submitted their complaint to the police department 3 days later, Internal Affairs had to examine all relevant evidence, including Morrison's body camera recording. What they witnessed contradicted Morrison's report completely. Customer phone videos had already begun spreading online, showing the confrontation from various angles. But when the Henderson family's lawyers obtained Morrison's body camera footage through legal discovery, they secured the definitive record. High-definition video with flawless audio, capturing every moment from Morrison's own perspective, recorded by equipment the department had issued specifically to document officer encounters. The body camera footage became the cornerstone of everything that unfolded next. It was undeniable. Morrison couldn't argue the audio was garbled or the video failed to show reality. This was his own gear, his own recording, capturing his own racist policing. Civil rights groups filed Freedom of Information requests for all of Morrison's body camera footage from disturbance calls across the previous 3 years. What they discovered was telling. Out of 89 occasions when Morrison had activated his body camera for business disturbance calls, 73 involved complaints targeting people of color. The footage revealed a clear pattern: Morrison approaching minorities in businesses, instantly assuming guilt, threatening arrests for vague infractions, and frequently forcing people out, even when business owners said no problem existed. In 12 separate instances where complaints had been lodged against Morrison, his body camera had mysteriously remained inactive, conveniently providing no video documentation of encounters that witnesses characterized as discriminatory. The investigation spread beyond Betty's. Morrison had responded to similar calls at 9 additional businesses. Combined, body camera and witness evidence proved he had removed or threatened 47 people of color across 4 years based on complaints that were transparently rooted in racism. Internal emails revealed Morrison's sergeant knew about the pattern. In one message, Morrison had inquired about handling complaints from residents regarding undesirable elements in neighborhood businesses. The sergeant replied, "Use discretion if business owners want help maintaining their clientele standards. We support them within legal bounds." That email, paired with the body camera evidence, demonstrated departmental awareness and tacit endorsement of Morrison's discriminatory enforcement. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the district launched a federal civil rights investigation. This transcended one incident. Body camera footage from multiple encounters demonstrated a systematic pattern of discrimination enabled by departmental policy. Federal prosecutors constructed a case not only against Morrison but conspiracy to deprive civil rights involving his sergeant and the department's implicit approval framework. Morrison was arrested 6 months following the diner incident. He faced multiple counts of conspiracy to deprive civil rights under Title 18 U.S.C. Section 241 and deprivation of rights under color of law under Title 18 U.S.C. Section 242. His sergeant was charged as a co-conspirator. The federal trial ran 3 weeks. Prosecutors presented Morrison's body camera footage from Betty's Diner, which played on courtroom screens in devastating clarity. The jury observed from Morrison's own viewpoint as he singled out the Henderson family, dismissed their explanations, threatened them and the business owner, all while the family sat peacefully enjoying lunch. Then prosecutors showed body camera footage from 17 additional incidents displaying the identical pattern of discriminatory enforcement. 47 victims gave testimony about being forced from businesses while doing nothing improper. Bill Thompson testified regarding Morrison's intimidating conduct. Statistical experts presented data demonstrating Morrison's selective enforcement pattern. The defense contended Morrison had responded to legitimate complaints, but the body camera footage demolished this at every turn. The video displayed peaceful families, showed zero disturbances, showed Morrison's immediate targeting based purely on race. Morrison turned down multiple plea bargains, insisting he'd acted correctly. The jury deliberated 2 days. The verdict guilty on multiple counts of conspiracy to deprive civil rights and deprivation of rights under color of law. Under federal sentencing guidelines accounting for multiple victims and authority abuse, Morrison received 3 years and 10 months in federal prison. His sergeant, who entered a guilty plea before trial, got 18 months. The civil rights lawsuit the Henderson family filed moved forward separately. Their attorney sued Morrison, his sergeant, and the Lakewood Police Department for civil rights violations, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and systemic discrimination. Morrison's own body camera footage made settlement talks brief. The city's lawyers recognized the video was indefensible. The case settled for $1.8 million plus mandated reforms, independent civilian oversight with investigative authority, mandatory bias training with quarterly evaluations, body camera activation required for all calls with strict penalties for non-compliance, all body camera footage from business calls reviewed by Civilian Oversight Board, demographic data collection on all business removals with public quarterly reports, zero-tolerance policy for selective enforcement, documentation requirements for all removal requests. The settlement included provisions to locate and compensate the 47 other victims through a $400,000 compensation fund. The case became landmark in confronting police-enabled discrimination. Law schools taught it as an illustration of how officers' own body cameras can furnish irrefutable proof of civil rights violations. Bill Thompson's diner experienced increased patronage from customers supporting his position. He implemented a policy displayed prominently. All customers are welcome at Betty's Diner. We do not tolerate discrimination of any kind. The Henderson family used a portion of their settlement to create the Henderson Equal Access Fund, offering legal representation to discrimination victims who lacked resources for attorneys. Officer Morrison served his federal sentence, still insisting he'd simply been doing his job. He never apologized to the Henderson family or his other victims, never acknowledged the harm his body camera had captured so vividly. The irony wasn't missed by civil rights advocates. Morrison had activated his body camera following department policy, confident he was handling a legitimate complaint. That body camera, meant to shield officers from false allegations, instead became the primary evidence of his systematic discrimination. His own equipment documented his bias, his threats, his pattern of targeting minorities. The lesson rang clear. Body cameras work both directions. They can shield officers who act appropriately, but they also document officers who abuse their power. And when an officer's own body camera captures him discriminating against a peaceful family eating lunch, there's no defense, no justification, no way to twist the narrative. Officer Keith Morrison entered a diner expecting to remove a black family, like he'd done dozens of times previously. He forgot in his eagerness to enforce discrimination that his own body camera was recording everything. His 14-year career concluded in federal prison, destroyed by the very equipment meant to protect him. The Henderson family entered Betty's diner for Sunday lunch. They experienced blatant discrimination, but Morrison's own body camera captured the evidence that held him accountable and sparked lasting change. If you believe police officers who selectively enforce laws based on race deserve federal prosecution and that body cameras need real accountability, subscribe and turn on notifications, because tomorrow we're bringing another story demonstrating how technology designed to protect can also expose the truth.